Captain. Incoming message.
My name is George, and
I'm Jeff.
hey everybody. So I know this isn't the usual video quality you see from me, but I also know you haven't seen me or Jeff in months. Now, unfortunately, I'll have to wait a little bit longer to see Jeff again, but hey, you know what? I'm here. That should count for something, right? So yeah, you can tell video quality issues. I'm just using the webcam on my laptop. We had a whole bunch of stuff happen this year over the last several months because I'm terrified to even look to see when the last time we had a video where we went live together. But I think it's been at least since May. I think May was the last time we did a video. I do know that we didn't cover anything after Picard was finished, so that means that I don't think we actually did anything covering Strange New Worlds, definitely no Lower Decks. Discovery's right around the corner, so we got all sorts of stuff that we got behind on. I definitely miss doing videos, but yeah, so long story short, for those that are just wondering, because again, you haven't heard from us in forever, the house that we had the studio in that we were shooting most of our videos from when you did see us coming regularly, that house is no longer a thing. Not my circus, not my monkeys, so I don't want to comment too much on it. But yeah, so after that was no longer a thing that we could use. And it just basically just went downhill from there. I was too busy with my stuff, and Jeff got busy with his stuff, and we just never got around to shooting videos. Now we got other things right around the corner. We should be able to get a repair shop open that we've been wanting to open for a while. And so hopefully here in the next week or two, we'll know exactly where we're at with that. So yeah, there's, we're finishing 2023 with the ending of leaving skid marks. So I think it was skid marks that we had to leave all year. But yeah, so either way, and then it's like I had theft that happened at my place a couple months ago. Now, when this happened, a lot of the equipment was actually stored in my storage unit, so that most of the equipment we had I still have, but there was a point where I had left, like for example, the soundboard that I had everything plugged into, that is no longer a thing. I have a backup one. I'm not using it tonight, but that's just because I just don't need it for what I'm doing here. But yeah, so those are things that that's basically it. So that's why I'm appearing tonight. I just figure it's New Year's Eve, the end of 2023. We're going into 2024, and you're going to see us again. You're going to see more of us. I, for the longest time, just didn't have a video set up, so that was one of those things that I had to fix, and that's why I fixed that today, so I could go on today, right? So again, I do apologize for the crappy webcam video quality, but once I have some time, I'll look for my other camera that I was using that had better resolution. So I think this webcam only wants to record, display, whatever, at 720p. And the other the camera that I usually use, that I usually have mounted on a tripod, it's also a webcam, but it actually does 1440p. So if you've seen the last time that I went live, last time that Jeff and I went live when we were doing a Picard video, when we weren't together, and we were off in our own places. And you'll see it where we were split on screen instead of being in the same window. So if you look for one of those, you'll see the difference in video quality, which still, it's a cheap camera, but it definitely looks better than this. So, but there are things that we can do tonight. I'm watching. I don't see anybody on Facebook. I'm really not expecting anything to happen on YouTube tonight or Twitch. Twitch is that place that sometimes I get things, but overall, I don't really expect this to be anything crazy tonight. I have no idea how long I'm going to be on. I might be on for 20 minutes, might be on for 30 minutes, and I might wind up rambling for the next 3 hours. I have no clue. So, I mean, I have been drinking. I am a little bit high, so I'm already relaxed in a great mood. So I may be passing out to go to bed soon. Like, who knows? But I just want to take a look and see what kind of stuff. So what is going on in the world, right? We're ending the year. We're seeing the computer industry more and more so embrace AI to the point where we're getting ready to have hardware with AI facilities being built into iPhones, being built into just processors in general. Like, I think it's Intel, but I think AMD is as well. But I know Intel, maybe they both are. I really don't know. I can't remember. Somebody should know, right? But I know that one of the two or both is in the process of implementing and adding AI features right into the processor core, which is interesting. That would be the biggest thing that they've added since they added virtualization extensions to stuff a long time ago. But yeah, they're adding AI to stuff. Chat GPT is stronger than ever. They're adding Windows 12. So after they swore up and down that they weren't going to make any new versions of Windows after Windows 10, and that everything would just be some offshoot of Windows 10, then they come out with Windows 11 because they just needed to do something that different, and that's what you do. You make something that's way different than your last product. You give it a new name. You don't just call it the same thing as the old one. But yeah, now they're coming out with Windows 12, and they're going back to the old 2-year release cycle for new versions of Windows, which technically they were still keeping up with Windows 10, but they were releasing, and they weren't even calling them service packs. They were calling them feature updates, where they would give them a date, or there would be major roll-ups like 22H2 versus 22H1. Those were significant update packs, and they were they were still Windows 10. So there's definitely a lot of stuff that's going on in that front. Hey Herschel, how you doing, man? See there on Facebook. Yeah, that's what that's like the biggest thing I'm seeing that's happening from this year, though, is we're getting a new version of Windows in the next year or two, and they're pushing out they're implementing AI. They've already added Windows Copilot into Windows 11, which Copilot seems to be Microsoft's general AI product. So they have GitHub Copilot, and they have Microsoft Copilot, and I'm pretty sure I saw they have an Office Copilot for Microsoft 365. But and I haven't messed with any of that yet, so I don't know what kind of a help that is. I know a friend of mine had the GitHub Copilot for a while, and he had that linked to his Visual Studio, and I guess it was a huge help. So, but as far as doing AI on the desktop, I wouldn't know. I haven't tried that. I haven't uh, tried any of that, but when I do, I'll be here talking about it, of course, because why not? Yeah, so I'm just not sure what to do. What's fun? What I like to do when I come on here is playing games. And so let's see here. So I'm gonna sign into the Xbox thing. This computer, apparently, I haven't ever signed into the Xbox app. Yeah, so normally when I'm streaming, I'm using my Windows 11 machine. I'm actually using my uh, well, I have a few laptops, but I'm definitely using my desktop replacement laptop. It's a Dell Precision 3510, older unit, but great. All right, so according to this, yep, I still have my Xbox Cloud account, so, but I haven't signed into that in forever. So let's see what kind of fun stuff I can find. Oh, Battlefront 2. I'm wondering if they have the new Star Trek game. That would be nice. I've been wanting to play that. I just don't have anything that actually plays it. That's not true either, but I just don't feel like plugging this gaming desktop that I have sitting at my feet in anymore. It's older, it's outdated anyway, but that might play Renegades and it might not, and that's why I just don't think too much about it anymore. It's just that old. But hey, it was a nice little find a couple years ago during the pandemic. It was still like 6 years. It was like 6 years old when I got it then. So it's been, yeah, it's old, but it's still a good one. All right, Star Wars Battlefront 2. So let's see. Let's slide the stream software. Yeah, so I can't remember what Streamlabs called their online browser thing. And now they call it Talk Studio. Let's find out what was that anyway. It had I think it had a better name. It's not called Talk Studio. Uh, Previous name. Melon. Okay. Oh yeah, that's right. It was Melon. Melon app. I remember that. And like Melon was a better name, but I'm an asshole, so don't listen to me. All right, so let's see here. We're gonna play this. I haven't done this in forever. Share screen. There we go. So that's what the Xbox cloud gaming stuff looks like if you're so I like the cloud gaming thing because I can run the software on pretty much any device, my iPhone, an iPad, any sort of Android device, even like smart TVs support the Xbox app, and it's the same case with GeForce Now, which I also have. So that's something that's why I like the cloud gaming, because it really is that helpful. And to me, I think stuff like that is a good alternative for parents who are on a tight budget that they want their kid to be able to play newer games, and especially computer games. And so, but they're on a tight budget, and they can't afford to do to pay for the for a gaming computer. Like I said, sorry, I'm a little bit out of it, but I'm here. Yeah. All right. Press A. I don't know how that sounds. So let's go with volume mixer. There. There we go. Yeah, I had no clue if that was gonna cause echoes or sound bad or whatever. And again, that's one of those things where I usually would have the the sound mixer, because then I could just hit a button without interrupting the stream to make those settings changes. But that's okay. Yeah, that's what I wanted. Man, it's been so. What? What was the. There's something missing. Oh, arcade was what I was looking for. Okay. That's what I was looking for. That's what I usually do. Yeah. I don't think this video looks as bad as you'd think. It just looks bad if it's full, but that's okay. Yeah, let's do that. Yeah, definitely one of my favorite games though. Because we're playing instant action, I can play whatever fucking ship I want. I want this one. It's not my favorite, but good. I haven't forgotten the controls. Yeah, so game streaming on something that actually has the ability to play this game, but so the Xbox streaming is actually playing the Xbox version. So this is the version of the game that they see on the console. This isn't the PC version, even though I'm on a PC. This is the console version of the game. So, which this is something significant, because sometimes you'll see games that you think that you can cross-platform, and you find out they're not. Yeah, there's a lot more games now that are cross-platform. Like if you want to play Splitgate, you can play Splitgate with anybody that has the game at all. And it's the same way with Rocket League. You can play whatever, right? Like I got Rocket League on my PC, I got Rocket League on my Switch, and I'm signed into the same account. And that's pretty cool if you ask me. And and you get and you try to play with kids. Kids want to play with their friends, like, and not every parent buys the same console or can buy the same console. So, like I said, I think cloud gaming and cross-platform can actually close a lot of gaps and really just be a better thing. The only drawback to like cloud gaming is you have to live in an area where you can get good internet, and not everybody can get internet, especially if you're. And it's not even just people who live out in the middle of nowhere. You could live in town. You could live in an area that's got old ass copper lines, and for whatever reason you can't get good internet there, right? And so the bandwidth turns into something that really significant for streaming. That's how you do that. Yeah, I think this one's my favorite. I think the Slave one is my favorite one in the whole game to fly. It's because it's just so ridiculous. Like, look at this. Like, it's got the seismic charge, which I think gives it an unfair advantage. Come on, die, 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 die. I think it's a little harder for me to not let my blasters overheat for two reasons. A, I haven't played this in forever, and B, I usually play with sound. Usually I've got the mixer where or I'm wearing my headset. That's basically it. It's the headset that makes the difference. I have a headset that I can be wearing. I just don't want to. I got this cheap little mic today, and I very much like it. I think it's doing all right. I don't think anybody's complaining about being able to hear me. Let's look over and see. Yeah, I'm using my built-in webcam, so that's why it's bad. I have better cameras, but they're in storage, and this stream was kind of a spur of the moment thing. So yeah, it definitely looks grainy. It's just because it's only able to do 720p, which it's an older Dell laptop anyway. Here we go, my favorite thing to do. So I hope the stream looks better than the way it's rendering in my browsers. I'm kind of keeping an eye on the chat with everybody. Looks all choppy there, so I don't remember this easily being able to turn around that fast in this ship. I'm not complaining, but I just don't remember being able to turn around that fast and watch the stuff that I've blown up, the seismic charge. Or maybe I just haven't played it so long that I forgot all the cool stuff about the game. Let's just go with that. Die, 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 die. There we go. Yeah, and that's one of those things that I think there's a lot of people that haven't embraced the cloud yet. And as we get better internet connections, and I think a lot of it, especially in the U.S., is going to be the more companies, especially T-Mobile, but Verizon, U.S. Cellular, and I think some others do the same thing with the 5G home internet. And the more they're able to deploy that, we're going to see better internet and better quality of life. Because I think they call that the digital divide, and that's one of those things that Biden campaigned on. And I don't know how much he's actually kept his promises on it, but T-Mobile has been doing its thing and expanding while this has, since Biden came in office. So maybe, but no, that's T-Mobile's accomplishment. They bought out Sprint and turned into quite the fortuitous event, because they ended up well, they did in fact expand to rural areas like they promised they would. I live in a rural area, and not as rural as it could be, but because there's places just up the road from me that have it worse. But like, there's places that can only get DSL, and it's like where I live, there isn't a whole lot of choices. You get three options. You get Comcast, you get Century. Well, that's not CenturyLink anymore. It's now called Brightspeed, but it's still the same crappy DSL service. Or you can get T-Mobile. Those are the only three ISPs that I know that operate in my town, and it's fine. Now, and T-Mobile apparently isn't all over town. But I got it. It ends up being cheap internet, but good internet. I'm paying about $50, $50 to $60 a month. And unmetered bandwidth, I get almost 500 megs down and somewhere between 60 and 70 megs up, depending on the day, which immediately makes it better for the YouTube stuff, right? Because that's the best upload speed I've ever had. And it definitely makes a difference when you're uploading videos to YouTube or you're streaming. Because you got to have all that bandwidth, but especially if you're a streamer, if you're on Comcast or any sort of cable areas, they have been for a little while. So currently they're doing some tests, and I know for a fact Chicago, that's what I'm seeing a lot of. But that's because I'm in Illinois, so that's their way of saying, we're not far from you. Yeah, well, you're not close enough to me either, are you now? But they're yeah, but that's basically, and they're doing that because of the upload problem. Like, it isn't so much you know that they need good download speeds. It's because there's a lot more people now that are doing what I'm doing right here, content creating. They're streaming, they're doing videos, and guess what? In a lot of cities where there is competition for internet, which I'm just outside of bounds of their coverage area, which really sucks. But like for fiber, and a lot of fiber ISPs are offering symmetrical service instead of this split speed bullcrap that they've been doing for years. And I just don't know why they, and I think I do know why actually. So the reason why upload speeds are historically smaller by significantly than your download speeds is because this was an attitude, an idea that the whole internet industry has been operating on since the 90s. So because people weren't running servers at home, because they didn't, most normal people didn't, they weren't doing any teleconferencing, was still not done over IP, and long story short, they didn't. They just, because all this content creating and all this stuff really just blowing up didn't turn into a big thing that just anybody and everybody can and does do until very recently. So because there's a growing number of streamers, there's a growing number, it's turning into like a real thing that people can do. I don't know how I feel about turning it into a career thing, but I do know that there are people that make good money streaming, they make good money doing YouTube or whatever it is that they want to do. And you know what? I'm happy for them. That's not why I'm here. I'm here because it's fun. If I happen to make something along the way, great. If I don't, great. That's all. I don't really care. But there's definitely a lot of people who don't care, right? But yeah, so either way, but the thing is they got, this streaming stuff, these videos, like when you only, if you're especially 4K, like they had to do all sorts of things before Google decided to push out 4K video to people. And I remember this was like 2018, 2019, like it was some weird ass shit. Lived in a certain area, you could get, access to the 4K stream, and they were slowly pushing it across the state. And yeah, so like, but I go to a buddy's house and I think he had to bounce through a VPN to pretend to be in Chicago just to be able to get the 4K because he had the gigabit internet. So yeah, that's, and now they're starting to push 2.5 gig as a standard internet speed, and nobody needs that much. If you can afford it and you can get it and you want it, it puts a smile on your face. Great. But I think that as far as, but what I'm more interested in is what's going to happen with DOCSIS 4 when that rolls out and becomes standard everywhere, because all of a sudden the Comcast will actually be able to compete with fiber, but only to a point, because I think once you hit, the threshold is 5. I really think it's 5 gigabits. Yeah, I think the best they can do is 5 down and 5 up. I think that's the limit. They can continue to go up to like 10 gigs down on DOCSIS 4, but I still think they're capped at like somewhere between 2.5 and 5 gigs up. So that's what DOCSIS 4 isn't a fix. I mean, it is. It's just going to be a band-aid for the problem, because it's not going to take that much for fiber companies in a few years to push more insane bandwidth. And of course, like I'm on 5G internet and I'm getting, like I said, like 72 megs up, and I don't really need any more. But yeah, but either way, it's just fun watching the internet. But that's a little internet history lesson for why internet upload speeds are typically smaller for um, residential internet. Why, and really, like, why most connection types now that are widespread, like, so the business ones were always meant to be symmetrical, but not if you got Comcast. I would know because I had Comcast business internet and it's the same shitty service, just priced differently. And yeah, you're capped at, like I said, up to 25 megs up. So if you're uploading a 4K video, that sucks. Oh, you know what else sucks? Been shot. Oh, good. Ship is healing itself, and my shields are coming back. Oh, come on. Pick a target, any target. Oh, shoot that Y Wing. The crazy thing about Star Wars is I didn't expect to see the Y Wing trilogy. I just didn't realize deeper into the Star Wars lore, which I don't think it was like this at the time. Like when I watched played Rogue Squadron as a kid, um, they didn't they didn't tell you anything about what happened in the prequels because the prequels weren't a thing yet. And yeah, but either way, so the story with the Y Wings goes. So we've actually see them tied to the Clone Wars, and it wasn't any of the movies. It was Rebels. I think it was Rebels. No, it wasn't Rebels. It was the Clone Wars, the animated series. So, but they introduced the Y Wings as a brand new ship in the Clone Wars, and but yeah, so the lore goes that the Empire got rid of the Y Wings because they just weren't good for what they wanted because the Empire was pushing out the TIE fleet. So anything that the Empire eventually did was with the TIEs. So the Empire got rid of all of its Y Wings because they didn't care. Like that was antiquated equipment. Nobody was making parts for it anymore. And, so surprise, surprise, you get into like the rebellion and they had their Y Wings. And so as the story goes, as the lore goes, the engineers would keep those ships together by going to junkyards, spare parts from other ships, and they would just keep them afloat because, as it turns out, for the rebellion, the Y Wing was an excellent bomber. And I don't think there's any confirmation that they can even started making the Y Wings again until like the in the sequel trilogy. I know they did an updated version of the A Wing, but I don't think they did a newer version of the Y Wing. I think in fact, and I think they completely phased out the Y Wing because they had different bombers in the sequel trilogy. Oh, come on. Die, 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 die. There you go. But yeah, that was one of those fun things I was reading. I'm like, why is the Y Wing in two different trilogies? Like, well, the more important thing that I couldn't figure out was why they were, was it the same Y Wing? Because I know that they had different, like the V Wings and the Clone Wars, which are the only official on screen canon ship called the V Wing. Because we had a V Wing fighter that was in Star Wars Rogue Squadron, but that was Legends material. That is not canon. So, but the V Wings in this game are the canon V Wings from that are very clearly predecessors to the TIE Fighter. Like everything about the V Wing fighter looks TIE Fighter is supposed to be superior to the Clone Wars, so I can actually go into a TIE Fighter and show this because it tracks in the game too. So well, just this it's not a regular TIE Fighter, it's Titan Versos, but so it's kind of a super duper TIE Fighter. But I don't have the seismic charges anymore. God, I hope that video stream looks better, and it does. Because if that sucks, then I'll do something different. But yeah, so that's an X-wing or a Z-wing or whatever. So as the story goes, the Empire went to the TIE fighters because everything about them was superior to uh, Clone Wars ships. Now the catch is not exactly. The Imperial Navy had a completely different doctrine and strategy than the Republic did, because the Republic was meant for maintaining peace. The Empire, their goal was conquest. So even though they were the de facto government in the galaxy, because they were the legitimate successor to the Republic, they were still they still had to fight tooth and nail for control of the galaxy, because the rebellion and the general idea in the galaxy that the Empire's not supposed to be in charge, but yet here they are, and they're not even good to their people. They were only good to the people that were bending over and kissing their butt. But that's just how the Empire is. But yeah, because the TIE fighters, cheaper, lighter ships. They were, because because it was the Empire and they had so many or not galaxies, but systems and people available to fly their ships. They literally didn't value their pilots. Every pilot was replaceable. Somebody gets shot down, oh well. They served they gave their lives to the Empire, and now they gotta get somebody else to do it. So the TIE Fighter does actually hold very well against these ships. Doesn't have shields because they were trying to save money, right? It was cheaper to get more ships than it was to scale. They would hold hundreds of fighters, right? You know how many TIE fighters were in a standard complement and an Imperial? 14. They had 14 TIE fighters to every, that's it. But again, that's because their whole doctrine was let's intimidate people. And I don't know if you've looked at a Imperial Star Destroyer lately, but those are pretty intimidating. I'd be a little scared if that was shooting at me or come up behind me and I wasn't expecting this. Like, that's not really like, yeah. That's not a way to start your morning, right? The first thing you see when you wake up is an ISD, you're not having a good day. But yeah, that's die. But yeah, these Jedi Star Destroyers were a lot smaller. Not Jedi Star Destroyers. You could call them that because the Jedi were on them. But I think these weren't the Victory class. I can't remember the name of these. Doesn't matter. V starts with a V. It's not Victory, though. Victory was the other one of this time, other Clone Wars era. That's actually early Empire, believe it or not, after the Clone Wars. That's when the Victory. This was the has a V in the name. Maybe it starts with an I. Maybe it's Invictus class. I don't know. I'll have to look it up. We'll look it up after. All right. We're gonna ixnay on streaming stuff because that's not as fun as I thought it would be. Well, no, it's always fun. So yeah, but yeah, that's been me tonight. Yeah, let's see here. Has anybody showed up on Twitch? Says I have one viewer. Hi, whoever came by on Twitch. Maybe not though. Nobody came by on YouTube. I'm not really worried about it. I just wanted to come on, say hi, play a little game, play some games or whatever. But overall, we are coming back full force. We are going to be making more regular content. I know I am. Like I said, I fixed my little home studio setup, which I quit using for a long time because I got used to not shooting videos here. And so when we lost my buddy's house that had the basement with the studio in it, right? Jeff, when Jeff lost his house and we lost our studio, it was really hard for me to get motivated to try and shoot video at home. Like, I don't know how to describe it, but you didn't see me shoot a lot more videos after May. I hate that. I want to fix that. Life's been crazy. And I really need to get back to this. This is one of a lot of things that I need to start doing more of. But for now, this was a live stream. Happy New Year's. This will be it's only a few more hours before it's 2024. But most likely, this is the last time you'll see me live until the new year. So, at any rate, unless something happens, lest I get a wild hair up my ass, I will see you next year. Adios.